Hey, welcome to an episode of Chad's Beer Reviews. Continue with the BJCP style guidelines around style 23D Lambic. Overall impression, a fairly sour, often moderately funky, wild Belgian wheat beer with sourness taking the place of hot bitterness in the balance. Traditionally spontaneously fermented in the Brussels area and served uncarbonated, the refreshing acidity makes for a very pleasant cafe drink. And for that, I've got, which is pretty much the only bottled style you can get, this is Cantillon Grand Cru Bruxelles. And then they make a point of saying Lambic Bio Saison 2014-2015. It's not Saison style. Saison means season. So it was brewed in 2014, but it's actually bottled in 2017. And if you read the last line of the last paragraph, where it's in English there, it says, to be drunk preferably within 20 years after the bottling date. And they also make a point of saying you should serve it in a wine glass too, which is what I'm going to do. All right, so let's get back to the specs. All right, so comments, history, all that stuff. So straight lambics are single batch, unblended beers. Since they're unblended, the straight lambic is often a true product of the house character of a brewery and will be more variable than a gueuze. Now, a gueuze is a blend of various, 1 year, 2 year, 3 year old lambics. That's why they're not. That's the difference between a lambic and a gueuze. And a fruit lambic is basically a gueuze plus fruit. Get back to this. Younger versions tend to be one-dimensionally sour since the complex Brett character often takes upwards of a year to develop, and its enteric character is often indicative of a lambic that is too young. A noticeable vinegary or cidery character is considered a fault by Belgian brewers. Since the wild yeast bacteria will ferment all sugars, they're typically bottled only when they have completely fermented, so this should be a very dry beer. Let's look at the characteristic ingredients. Unmalted wheat, 30 to 40%. That's quite a lot. And then unmalted. Don't know the difference between malted and unmalted. How to Brew by John Palmer is your friend. Pilsner malt and aged hops up to 3 years are used. Aged hops are used more for preservative effects than bitterness and makes actual bitterness levels difficult to estimate. Traditionally, these beers are spontaneously fermented with naturally occurring yeast and bacteria in predominantly oaken barrels. The barrels used are neutral with little oak character, so don't expect a fresh or forward oak character. More neutral is typical. Yeah, I said that. Home-brewed and craft-brewed versions are more typically made with pure cultures of yeast, commonly including Saccharomyces, Brettanomyces, Propediococcus, and Lactobacillus, in an attempt to recreate the effects of dominant microbiota of Brussels and the surrounding countryside of the Seine River Valley. Cultures taken from bottles are sometimes used, but there is simply no way of knowing what organisms are still viable. Generally has a more simple sourness and complexity than a gueuze, traditionally served uncarbonated from pitchers, while gueuze is bottled in very high carbonate. Look at the vitals. This is interesting. IBUs 0 to 10. I've never seen a beer that could possibly be 0 IBUs before. And 3 to 7 SRM. And it's actually kind of low in alcohol. It's only 5 to 6.5. This one is only 5. And commercial examples, and this is why I bought this particular bottle, the only bottle version readily available is Cantillon Grand Cru Bruxelles of whatever single batch vintage the brewer deems worthy to bottle. Decam sometimes bottles their very old 5 years lambic, and in and around Brussels there are specialty cafes that often have draft lambics from traditional brewers or blenders, such as okay. All right, so I've been rambling long enough. Let's go get this in a wine glass, and I'll have my very first ever lambic. All right, so we've got the Grand Cru Bruxelles in the white wine glass. You figure if the Flanders Red is the beer equivalent of a red wine, then I assume straight lambic is the beer equivalent of a white wine. So I'm using a white wine glass. In fact, I actually said to use a wine glass on the bottle there. All right, so let's dig into the aroma. Wow. Very funky. Classic Brett character here. A little bit more authentic, I guess you could say, because that's like the most dominant thing here. So that kind of tart smell, the horse blanket, the farmhouse kind of thing, the countryside kind of smell. Almost like a little bit of like hay, but I'm also getting like this, kind of fruity character. So like a green kind of fruit. So like white grape, maybe Granny Smith apple, green pear, something like that. I wouldn't say it smells juicy, but it definitely smells, quite fruity. And then your malt base here is just, it's a lot of just straight wheat and just kind of, pale malt without any like real distinctive character to it at all. I would not say it smells sweet. Like it smells fruity, but it doesn't, like I said, it doesn't smell juicy. So any kind of sweetness here is just kind of coming from the natural fruity character from the yeast and the bacteria. And certainly no hop character there. Yeah, it smells really good. In fact, We should just give this thing a 50 and call it a day. So let's check the specs anyways, just for kicks. All right, so aroma. A decidedly sour aroma is often dominant in young examples, but may become more subdued with age as it blends with aromas described as barnyard, earthy, goaty, hay, horsey, and horse blanket. Wow. Yeah, check on pretty much all of those. I don't know what goaty means. A mild citrus, fruity aroma is considered favorable. Okay. I wouldn't say citrus, but yeah, fruity. An enteric, smoky, cigar-like, or cheesy aroma is unfavorable. Definitely not getting any of that. Older versions are commonly fruity with aromas of apples or even honey. No hop aroma. Well, I mean, I agree on the apples. Honey? Not really, but now they put that thing in my mind, so. Yeah, so 12 out of 12 on aroma there. Appearance, well, I mean, it kind of looks like apple juice or cider. Not sure how this is picking up on camera, but it's, you know, slightly hazy, but for the most part, it's pretty clear. And it has like this kind of soap suds head on it, but I mean, it's uncarbonated, so you're probably not going to get much foam on there anyways. I'd say it's about straight 9 SRM. It could be 7 to 9. I don't think I'd go as far as say, nah, it's definitely, yeah, so 7 to 9 SRM. Slightly hazy, but for the most part clear. And it has a little bit of foam. So it's like, it's probably a little bit of carbonation left. Let's check the specs on appearance. Pale yellow to deep golden in color. Age tends to darken the beer. Well, yeah, I mean, it's from 2014, so it's almost 4 years old. Clarity is hazy to good, true. Younger versions are often cloudy, while older ones are generally clear. White-colored head generally has poor retention. All right, so banging on all cylinders there. And they said 3 to 7 SRM, so yeah, I mean, 7 is the upper end of the spectrum, and it's definitely there. I mean, it's not like it's like a 15 or a 4 or something, so yeah. Full 3 out of 3 on appearance. All right, so here we go. My first time ever drinking a straight lambic. Cheers. It's really interesting. It's like brand new and familiar at the same time because, I mean, the first thing I noticed was, you know, okay, I'm getting the classic, the sourness and the Brett that you would get in any of the 3 previous reviews we just did. But not to the just balls out extent of that. It's much more refined, I guess is the word I'm looking for. So I'm getting like the Brett, the barnyard, all that stuff. I'm getting this fruity kind of character, like I said, white grape, green pear, you know, palm fruit, I guess as they call it. So yeah, I mean, when they said overall impression of moderately sour, I agree with that. This is, of all the 4 sours we reviewed so far, this is actually the least sour, although it's very, very drinkable. I don't know if I go as far as to say it's refreshing. I mean, partly refreshing. Really should be doing this review outside, but yeah, I mean, I could see, you know, and I would love to do a side-by-side because really Lambic should have sub-styles between aged Lambic and fresh, you know, like they said, you know, 6 months old Lambic. I would love to see what the difference is. This is truly a vintage. As far as like the wheat and malt and all that, basically the same thing I said on the nose. It has like this, you know, just like a general kind of weedy, malty base. But because, you know, the yeast and the wild bacteria ate up pretty much all the sugars. I mean, there's like a tiny little bit of a sweetness there. Although that might be like from the fruity kind of flavors I'm getting from the microbes and all that stuff. I mean, it's not, to me, it is not like super bone dry. I feel like I've had beers that have been drier than this. This one technically should be the driest one I've ever drank. So yeah, really, really interesting beer. Pretty tasty beer. Is it the absolute most delicious beer I've ever had in my life? No. But I am betting it's quite well conforming to the specs. So let's check those out. Flavor. Young examples are often noticeably lactic sour, but aging can bring this character more in balance with the malt, wheat, and barnyard characteristics. Okay, true. Fruity flavors are simpler in young lambics and more complex in older examples, where they are reminiscent of apples or other light fruits, rhubarb or honey. Yeah. Rhubarb, maybe. Honey. Yeah, I can see that. That might be like whatever that kind of sweetness that I'm tasting. Some citrus flavor, often grapefruit, is occasionally noticeable and is desirable. Yeah, maybe like a little bit of like a grapefruit concentrate kind of a flavor. To me, it's more the green fruits. The malt and wheat character are typically low with some bready, grainy notes. An eteric, smokier, cigar-like character is undesirable. Yeah, I'm not getting any of that. Hop bitterness is low to none and generally undetectable. Sourness provides balance. Yeah, I'm not picking up any hop bitterness or flavor. Yeah, none that I can really tell. Typically has a dry finish, no hop flavor. Yeah, I mean, it's not, like I said, it's not bone dry, but it's certainly more dry than malty or sweet or anything like that. How am I going to score this? I mean, to me, it's at least an 18, maybe a 19. Since they say typically has a dry finish, doesn't have to. I mean, and there's certainly nothing off about it either. But I see no reason to give it anything less than a 20. I just don't really have any frame of reference though either. Mouthfeel. I put about medium body, low to zero carbonation really, but it doesn't feel flat. You know, I've drank a lot of home brews like my own that aren't carbonated, and you've drank them just feel watery and flat. This one doesn't feel like that at all. It just feels, but it doesn't feel oily or slick or anything either. I mean, it feels like, I guess, like, it feels like drinking, you know, when you drink wine, you wouldn't say wine is watery, would you? Unless it's a bad wine. It's very smooth. It's not, you know, I mean, there's a slight acidity from the lactose and all that stuff, but it's not astringent. It's not tannic or anything. So, you know, and like I said, it's refreshing while it's in the mouth. But, yeah, and I could see this being a nice kind of summer, like I said, cafe sipping beer. Yeah, I could see that. Check the specs on mouthfeel. Light to medium light body. In spite of the low finishing gravity, the many mouth-filling flavors prevent the beer from feeling like water. Okay, true. They say light to medium light. To me, it's more of like a medium. Yeah, I mean, I guess medium light, sure. As a rule of thumb, Lambic dries with age, which makes dryness a reasonable indicator of age. Yeah, like I said, this one isn't bone dry, and it's like it was bottled last year, so it's one of the younger vintages. Has a medium to high tart puckering quality without being sharply astringent. True, traditional versions are virtually to completely uncarbonated, but bottled examples can pick up moderate carbonation with age. I mean, the fact there's even suds on there means that, like, there's a tiny little bit of carbonation there, but I'd be interested to see how much more it picks up over time. All right, so yeah, I'm gonna go full 5 out of 5 on mouthfeel, and since I've given it everything, the full everything out of everything, I am gonna go 10 out of 10, which is gonna be a perfect score of 50 out of 50 for the Grand Cru Bruxelles from Cantillon. Thanks for watching. I will see you guys next time. Actually, I'm out of town for a week, so I'll see you in a week. Bye.
Somebody brewed it. Chad just reviewed it. Thanks for watching Chad's Beer Reviews. Trust me, the next episode will be a lot better.